What's up, everybody? Welcome to After 9. My name is Nathan. I'm joined by Pastor Brian.
Hi.
Hi. And today we heard an awesome message about virtue or vice.
We did.
But before that, I want to talk about virtues, and it's all you mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's important. I think, mothers play kind of like that unsung hero role, I think. They're kind of there, and a lot of the things that they do kind of go unnoticed. And it's a good day to recognize that and honor our mothers for that.
Yeah, and just like thinking about the name of the message, Virtue or Vice, and I find that, if I were to go to therapy, every virtue probably came from my mother and every vice from my father. I'm just joking. Moms are awesome. You like that, eh? Just kidding.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I guess we'll just close it out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching,
well, thanks
everybody.
for joining us on the show, post-show.
But no, we talked about virtues and vices, and specifically about Bathsheba and King Solomon. And I thought it was really interesting because it was never presented to me in that way, and all the things she had to overcome in her own personal life. And I just thought it was pretty powerful, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing that kind of struck me is because vice can mean a lot of things, and we can tend to go to a real extreme with vice in our thinking on that. And but I think in the case of Bathsheba, even though there was vice and sin in her life, there was also a lot of virtue too. So I don't think just because you have one, you don't have the other. I think they do work almost together at times to promote the other or the opposite, right? And when you have the overcoming ability over sin and vice, it's going to produce virtue.
Yeah. And then something that stuck out to me today, I forget if it's Pastor Brian or Sherry who said it, but they talked about how, she's human.
Yeah.
All these stories that we see in the Bible,
they're all human, yeah.
They're all humans.
and they have flaws, right?
Yeah.
Like we all do. And we think that, we idolize characters in the Bible sometimes, or we even idolize people in the local church, leaders in the church sometimes,
For sure.
Pastors. I don't have that issue. Most people don't idolize me. But the reality is, we don't know what they go through on a day-to-day basis, and we don't know what those characters in the Bible went through. I mean, they are recorded in writings, but I don't think the writings go into the full depth of some of those situations, trials, and tests that people go through. And from my own perspective, I think people don't understand that some days you go through hell to get to heaven, and it's just a fact of life. But the ability is not to dwell on hell and just keep our eyes on heaven, as Jesus said. Keep looking up, because redemption draw nigh.
Right. And do you think? I know the answer, but I'm just saying this for conversation. But do you think?
Oh, so you think I don't know the answer?
Especially in the... That's why I'm asking you the question. You're the professional here. Keep it together.
Oh, you're giving me a softball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in the Christian world, I'm going to speak in the Christian world, that we're so busy looking at other people's lives, whether it's the pastor's lives or an elder's life, or like we see like the perfect couple with their perfect kids. But a lot of the times we don't realize that we always see like the best 1% of everybody, right? We don't see them at home. We don't see when they go through their vices. We only see the virtues.
You know what's interesting about what you just said was we always see the best. And when we come to our own lives, we usually see the worst in ourselves.
Right.
Which to me is kind of fascinating, because God sees that 1% best.
Yeah.
Like we see in others, and we can see it in others, but yet we have this opinion of ourselves a lot of times that we're less than, perfect, to say the least. But we'll beat ourselves up when the fact is God only sees us through the good things and the good things in our heart.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's something I've been learning a lot lately, especially with when dealing with myself, is that when I look at other people and what they're going through, whether it's a struggle or sin or whatever you want to, whatever it might be, like I have an easy time looking at somebody and having compassion for them and having like patience with them and having these good things towards them. But when, like you said, when I look at myself,
we tend to have
I'm
less
hard on
grace
myself.
to-
I'm my own
Yeah.
worst critic. Why are you doing this? Why are you not perfect to this standard? But I'm learning lately to have compassion for myself. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. I think we should have standards for ourselves for sure.
Absolutely.
But to know that we're going to fall short of those standards, and it's okay. It's okay.
Well, and I think society kind of sets us up for that. We're rewarded for hard work. We're rewarded for performance. We're rewarded almost for perfectionism, yet none of us can achieve it. And we set out on this life's goal to, really succeed. But the fact is, the more we're trying to succeed is the more we're failing in the eyes of God. I believe in truthfully, if it wasn't for the grace of God, none of us, if thereby by the grace of God, thereby there go I, or there go I thee, or there thee. And basically, I believe God's getting us to the place where we just receive the grace and mercy rather than trying to earn and perform. Because when we can walk in the Spirit and just let things bounce off us, we're no longer walking in the flesh. And when we're trying to walk in the flesh, we're trying to do it by law, which means we're empowering failure.
Right.
Isn't that interesting, eh?
Yeah, that is interesting. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit here. You know me. I'm a man of the people. I'm a layman myself. All right. I know you're smart. You're a very highly educated guy. So
Oh, wow.
Pastor Brian, I would like you to paint me a picture of a virtuous person who might have some vices. What is a virtue? What is a vice?
Well, that's a really good question. So I think I'm going to define it as just an overall, maybe society. I'm not sure that what I see as a virtue is a virtue or as a vice is a vice. But I think I consider vices is behavior or anything that takes me away from God's perfect will for my life. Virtue to me would mean walking through the storms, through the tests, through the trials, or anything the evil one wants to bring against my life to stop me from fulfilling God's plan for my life.
Okay.
You weren't expecting that answer.
No,
right?
that's a really
That's
good
very
answer.
deep, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was deep.
I even surprise myself sometimes. I got
So, do you think we can mistake? So, do you think we can mistake vices for trials? Are they one and the same? Because I think of how patience is built. You can't build patience without something that tests your patience, right? So, is that test a vice, or is that something completely different?
Well, that's another good question. Again, I think that's in the eyes of the beholder. But the way I see a vice is it tends to be more of a behavior or possibly a misbehavior even, where virtue tends to be something that we rely on God for, or it's the wisdom of God. But basically, I think virtue is stepping outside of ourselves, beyond ourselves. And basically, that's the way when I read those passages, it's kind of telling us there's more than our behavior to life, right? And that's just my thoughts on it. I don't know if I'm right, but
No. It makes total sense. Yeah, just because I was wondering, like, as this message was going on, and even as we've been talking, where like maybe some people think they have all these vices in their life, or like, I don't want to say people are soft or anything, but it seems like the littlest of things can cripple us, right? You know what I mean? Where somebody cutting us off in the road is like, oh, what a vice on my life, and it ruined.
I had a few of those on my way today.
But you didn't let it ruin your whole day.
Well, it actually kind of gets to the point where it's like, this is way too obvious, right? I mean, and what's interesting is some of them were dangerous to the point where, if I wasn't quite walking in the Spirit, I may have been cursing in the flesh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that's part of it, is overcoming those annoyances, those distractions, because that's what the enemy uses. He uses those kind of things
Mm-hmm.
to try to trip us up. And, the Bible says, stand firm, because the enemy's trying to trip us up in the evil day.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we do that? Well, we put on the armor of God. We walk in the Spirit. And we be thankful. I had a trying moment. I was explaining to you, trying to get in my car this morning. It was an adventure, to say the least. But when I finally got everything up and running and heading out the door, I just started immediately thanking God, because I think the opposite would have been easy to do, and I think that's the enemy's role. And sometimes you got to just repay evil with good, and that's what Romans 12:20 says. If you're not willing to look beyond, your rights, or the indiscretions that may have been done towards you, and just release praise for God and just even that person, you're going to you're going to spiral downward very quickly. Let's put it that way.
Very good. You heard it here first, all this wisdom. And that's more than knowledge, because you experienced it.
Yes.
Been turned into wisdom.
Yes.
But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have the best day ever. Happy Mother's Day to all you amazing moms out there, and to those who aren't mothers but have had, children under their wing, whether you're an auntie, a mentor, children's church leader, and you never had kids. Happy Mother's Day to you as well, because you deserve it. You earn it. We love you. Remember, we have prayer tomorrow night. YouTube, Facebook, 7. What time is it? 6:30. I almost said 7:30. Oh my goodness, 6:30. So
you'll be done by 7:30.
We'll be done by 7:30. So until next time, I'm Nathan. That's Pastor Brian. Light the passion within you.